Hello everybody! Welcome to Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH College Edition at tayo po ngayon ay nasa Intermediate Accounting 1. This is discussion number 1 and we will be talking about cash and cash equivalents, and this is part 1 of the lesson for cash and cash equivalents, and we will be talking about cash and cash equivalent items. At the end of the video, you should be able to define what cash and cash equivalents are and determine inclusions and exclusions on cash and cash equivalents. This is our very first video for Intermediate Accounting 1, and I hope that you will be with me until the end of the semester. Before anything else, please like, share, and subscribe to Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH and hit the notification bell button to alert you of the latest video lessons. For all of your questions, comments, and suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And for webinar and speakership invites, please send me a message at kevintroy.chua1994@gmail.com. Thank you for your utmost support for Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH, and may these videos continue to help students in their online learning and academic development. Sana po nakakatulong yung ating accounting videos in our online learning today, more so that we are all at home and learning at home amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And thank you for trusting Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH as your partner in your online learning. Also, may these videos continue to help teachers in enhancing their lesson plans and teaching methodologies. Sa lahat po ng accounting professors and teachers who are trusting Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH as a way for them to relay to students the lesson, maraming salamat po. And as of September 21, 2020, salamat po sa lahat ng 6,400 plus na nagtiwala sa Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH, and sa Panginoon lamang po lahat ng credit, sa Panginoon lamang po ang lahat ng papurit pagsamba sa lahat ng ito. Thank you, Lord, for all of these blessings that you are giving, not only to me but to everyone who is watching this YouTube channel. Okay, some shout outs from past videos and other posts that I have. So first one we have from Kyle Segundo. For me, you are an angel sent by God to help us aspiring accountants. May God bless you with more beautiful things in life. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, sir. Kyle Segundo, maraming salamat for looking at me as an angel sent by God. Pero si Lord po ang nagbibigay sa atin ng knowledge and wisdom para po maging possible itong ating Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH. And thank you po sa iyong wishes sa akin ng blessing ng Panginoon with more beautiful things. Kyle, maraming salamat. Also from Ace, thank you po Sir Chua, mas naiintindihan ko po yung lessons namin after ko mapanood yung videos nyo po. God bless you po always. Thank you for reinforcing your learning using Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH. Thank you, Ace. And from Mac Grady Mendoza, sobrang dali po pag kayo nag-e-explain. Thank you po. Maybe it's a blessing po na binigay sa atin ng Panginoon that I am able to relay the lessons to you very well. And thank you for trusting Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH, Mac Grady. And thank you that you find my explanations very easy for you to understand. So thank you din po sa inyong lahat for choosing Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH as your online learning partner. Okay, so let's start our lesson for today. Intermediate Accounting 1, as I've told you in the general orientation, is about assets. Now specifically, let's first talk about current assets. And for this specific video, we are talking about the very first line item in the current asset section of the Statement of Financial Position, which is cash and cash equivalents. So today, we will be talking about what are the items or things that should be included in this account, and what are the things that we should not include in this account. What are the things that we should report in this account, and what are the things that we should not report in this account. Okay, so according to International Accounting Standard 1, entitled Presentation of Financial Statements, an entity shall classify an asset as current when it expects to realize the asset or intends to sell or consume it in its normal operating cycle, it holds the asset primarily for the purpose of trading, or there is a realization of the asset within 12 months. And then there is a fourth provision which tells us expressly that cash and cash equivalents are current assets, unless they are restricted from being exchanged or used to settle a liability for at least 12 months after the reporting period. Well, as we all know, Current assets include cash, accounts receivable, inventories, prepaid expenses, marketable equity securities, and office and store supplies, and all other current assets, no? Sa mga nakapag-take po ng Fundamentals of ABM Part 2 in their senior high school, this is something that you already know naman na talaga, no? But although we don't have a specific accounting standard that relates to cash and cash equivalents, it is expressly stated in the paragraph 66 of IAS 1 that cash and cash equivalents are current assets. Now, the main question is that what items are included in cash and what items are included in cash equivalent. Yun po kasi yung pinag-uusapan talaga natin. We can always say that cash and cash equivalents are current assets. That's a no-brainer already. Even a senior high school can tell that to you, no? Kahit kauumpisa pa lang ng mga senior high school sa kanilang accounting, pag sinabi mo sa kanilang cash and cash equivalents, they can already tell you that those are current assets. And the inclusions and exclusions for cash and cash equivalents are somewhat, they have the idea naman na nun, no? But digging deeper in Intermediate Accounting 1, what are the things that we should report as cash and cash equivalents? Those are the things that we'll be talking about today. Okay, let's talk about cash items. First and foremost, remember that cash is always measured at face value. Kung magkano yung cash, yun na yun. Wala tayong highly specialized or techniques or methodology or estimations in accounting on how to properly measure cash. Wala po tayong usapan dyan. Kung magkano ang cash, that's how much you report it in the statement of financial position. And the best way to tell it is you measured it at face value. Now, to qualify as cash presented as a current asset, the general rule is that these items are generally unrestricted. You can easily use it in your operations. You can easily use it in the operating activities of the company. Okay? It must be unrestricted. Now, if the cash has restrictions, then that's the time that we have things to talk about. Okay? So, digging deeper, it's like this. Cash items includes the following. Number one na hindi nyo dapat makalimutan is syempre anything that the entity is holding as cash on hand. Yun yung pinakamadali dyan. When the company is holding cash on their own, currently on hand, automatically that's included as part of cash. Okay? We also have undeposited collections. Later kasi I'll be discussing US system kung bakit nagkakaroon ng deposit sa bangko. But all other collections rather, na hindi pa nade-deposit sa bangko, edi syempre cash on hand din yun, di ba? Okay? And then, kasama po sa ating reporting ng cash items, yung ating customers and managers checks, bank drafts, and money orders. Now, in any case that the entity maintains cash in a bank at meron silang different bank accounts, as long as there are no restrictions on withdrawals, automatically that cash in bank is reported also as a cash item. Okay? Now, we also have the following working funds. Pag sinabi mong working funds ay sineparate siya for a specific purpose, but the purpose is just only for operations. And it's not really that restricted. Kumbaga, it was just only set aside for a small purpose of operations. For example, petty cash fund. It's impracticable for a company to release checks para magbayad ng expenses. Okay? So, petty cash fund is a small amount of money set aside for small payments of expenses. We also have change fund. Sa Tagalog, panukli. Okay? Dividend fund, pangbayad ng dividends. Payroll fund, fund set aside by the company, pampasahod sa empleyado. Okay? Those are still included as cash items kasi hindi naman talaga siya restricted. It's just that it has only a specific purpose, but the purpose is just about the company's operating activities. No problem with that. You still report it as a cash item. Now, the partner of the account title cash and cash equivalent, katabi ng cash, is what we call cash equivalents. These are short-term, highly liquid investments that are readily convertible into cash. Okay? So, hindi talaga siyang diretsong cash, but because of its liquidity, it's readily convertible into cash. It will qualify as a cash equivalent. Now, in cash equivalent, always remember to apply the 3-month rule. So, in applying the 3-month rule for cash equivalents is not just counting 3 months before the date of maturity. It's about the duration from the date of purchase to the date of maturity. Remember, the date of purchase, count 3 months up to the date of maturity. Okay? Hindi po pwede yung isang taon mo nang hawak yung cash, not the cash equivalent, but isang taon mo nang hawak, let's say for example, yung treasury bill, and then by December 31, 3 months na lang kasi siya to maturity. Hindi po ganun yun, okay? Ang titignan mo is the date of purchase. If the cash equivalent is purchased 3 months before the date of maturity, dun siya magka-qualify as cash equivalent. Hindi porke ma-mature na siya in 3 months, automatically cash equivalent na siya. You will be looking on the date of purchase. But if the problem is silent and the date of maturity is nearing in 3 months, then that is a cash equivalent. So some examples include 3 months time deposits and commercial papers. And also we have BSP or Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas treasury bills purchased 3 months before maturity. Take note of the phrase purchased 3 months before maturity, because if you are holding a treasury bill na matagal na and by December 31 pa-mature na siya na nearing 3 months or less than 3 months, hindi pa rin po magka-qualify yun as cash equivalent. Ang pinag-uusapan po natin is kung kailan po yung date of purchase. Okay? Always remember that. It's about the date of purchase. So, sabay mo siyang titignan. Kailan yung date of purchase at kailan po yung maturity. Okay? I hope you understand that. Now, in any case that a company has excess cash, pwede po nila kasi yung i-invest sa ibang bagay para mas kumita pa ng interest income. Okay? Para mas lalo pa nilang pagkakitaan yung cash na excess. Kasi usually ang company kapag ginagamit sa operations yung pera, talagang umiikot yung pera. Pero if we have excess cash, hindi naman po tama na nakatenga lang siya sa bank account. So, entities would rather put it in an investment and then let it earn more income. Okay? And that will be more beneficial to the company. However, the question is, will we report that as cash or not? So, these are the items that you should take into consideration. If there is an investment of excess cash, the invested cash will be classified as follows. If the term is 3 months or less, then it would be classified as a cash equivalent. Okay? But more than 3 months, so lumagpas ng 3 months, but it's less than a year, it will be classified as a short-term investment as current assets. But even though it's reported as a current asset, it is not reported as cash and it's not even reported as a cash equivalent. Okay? It will be reported as a short-term investment na pasok po sa current asset. Bakit? Bakit siya current asset? Pasok po siya dun sa criteria natin ng current assets na any resource beneficial for the company less than a year. Diba? Or realizable by the company less than a year. Although, again, ulitin ko sa inyo, it's not a cash equivalent and it's certainly more na hindi cash. Okay? And then, more than 1 year, then automatically, dahil more than 1 year na siya, it's a non-current asset already. It's a long-term investment classified as non-current asset. Most certainly, hindi siya short-term, hindi siya current asset, hindi siya cash equivalent, at mas lalong hindi siya cash. Okay? It's automatically a long-term investment reported in the non-current asset section of the Statement of Financial Position. That's how you report temporary investments of excess cash. Now, entities usually enter into borrowing arrangements, and those borrowing arrangements involves compensating balances. If the compensating balances has no legal restrictions as to withdrawal, then let it be. Go on. Report it as cash. But if there is a legal restriction sa withdrawal po nun, cash held as compensating balance or long-term investment ang kanyang reporting. Ngayon, when can we say that we could record it as cash held as compensating balance, and when can we record it as a long-term investment? You will look on the loan related to the compensating balance. If the related loan on the compensating balance is short-term, then you report it as a current asset with the account cash held as compensating balance. However, if the related loan is long-term, then it the compensating balance would also be classified as a long-term investment. So it depends whether the loan is short-term or long-term. Okay? That's where you will be putting it. If it's short-term, then it's cash as held as compensating balance. If it's long-term, then it's a long-term investment. Okay? But when there are no legal restrictions to withdraw the compensating balance, then automatically you can report it as cash. Kasi nga, it's unrestricted. You can withdraw it anytime. You can use it in your operations. No problem. Then report it as cash. How about post-dated checks? The general rule in post-dated checks is it shall be reverted back to cash as at the end of the reporting period. Before anything else, let's discuss what a post-dated check is. Okay. The premise is that companies are paying for payments, for expenses sa pamamagitan po ng cheque. So, ang bayad po natin ay sa pamamagitan ng cheque. However, pag sinabi po natin post-dated check, let's say for example, the end of the reporting period is December 31, 2020. Kaso yung cheque na ipambabayad mo sa supplier mo o dun sa babayaran mo ng expense, ang ginawa mo, binigay mo na sa kanila yung cheque, tapos nag-entry ka na sa accounting records mo, pero yung nakalagay na date sa cheque ay post-dated. Ibig sabihin ng post-dated, medyo malayo na sa reporting period. So, let's say for example, we're reporting for December 31, 2020. Dinate mo na agad yung cheque January 15, 2021. Okay? So, malayo na, di ba? Okay, post-dated check. Ibig sabihin, doon pa siya magiging effective. Ngayon, kung ang pag-uusapan natin na financial statements ay December 31, 2020, sa'yo pa talaga yung cash na yun. Hindi pa talaga yun mababawas dapat sa cash mo. Okay? Kasi the payment will be made in 2021. As far as 2020 is concerned, sa'yo pa yung cash na yon. So, when a company issues a post-dated check, it shall be reverted back to cash in the reporting sa statement of financial position. Pero titignan mo yung problem. What if the post-dated check, ibabalik na rin natin sitwasyon, yung kumpanya naman ang binayaran ng post-dated check. That's the time that you should not include it in your cash balance because hindi pa sa'yo yun. Dun pa yun sa company na nagbayad sa'yo. Sa kanila pa yun. Okay? So in problems relating to post-dated check, you always check kung sino pa yung may-ari ng cheque at kung sino yung nag-issue ng cheque. If the entity issues a post-dated check, that is still the entity's cash because the payment will still be effective at the next accounting period. You revert back that to cash. You re-add that. Okay? Re-add kung nabawas na. Okay? But, if the company is the one who receives a post-dated check, it should not form part of their cash balance kasi hindi pa sa kanila yun. Okay? Dun pa po yun sa cash balance pa po yun nung company na nagbayad sa kanila. Okay, I hope you understand. Okay. Next, we have cash short or over. Minsan po, hindi nagtutugma yung count natin ng cash, yung talagang physical count versus sa ating records. Okay? So, nagkakaroon po ng tinatawag nating temporary valuation account na cash short or over. Okay. If the cash count is less than the recorded cash, may kulang, di ba? Kulang yung kinount mo yung recorded cash mo, gantong amount. So, ang tawag po doon, cash shortage. Kunyari, ang binilang mong cash for the day, 5,000. Ang naka-record, 6,000. Oh, bakit ang naka-record natin 6,000 nung binilang 5,000 lang? Kulang tayo ng 1,000. Ang tawag po doon, cash shortage. But, the other way around, if the cash count is greater than the recorded cash, then that is what you call a cash overage. Sobra naman po. So, for example, ang kinount natin cash at the end of the day, 7,000. Pero, ang naka-record lang sa atin, 6,000. Oh, ba't sobra? Saan galing yung sobra? Okay, so, hindi po dapat maiwan na nakahang kung bakit may kulang or sobra. No, this should be investigated. Now, let's first talk about cash shortage. Cash shortages are initially debited to the cash short or over account and credited to cash. Kailangan mong i-update yung records mo. So, ang mangyayari, magde-debit ka ngayon dun sa kakulangan ng cash short or over account representing the shortage and then i-credit mo si cash para ma-update si cash, mabawasan ng shortage kasi nga ang cash count natin 5,000 lang, naka-record sa atin 6,000, so dapat ang cash lang talaga natin 5,000. Yun yung katotohanan 5,000. However, upon investigation, malalaman nyo kung bakit nagkaroon ng shortage eh. Okay? Remember that the cash short or over is only a temporary valuation account. Kailangan yung cash short or over, matanggal mo yan, tas mailagay mo sa proper account kung ano yung totoong nangyari. Okay? So, these shortages are then credited to the cash short or over account where the amount of the shortage is debited to the reason for the shortage. For example, di ba una nating entry naka-debit sa cash short or over account? Tapos, na-investigate na talagang nawala pala yung pera at hindi alam kung saan napunta. So, that is already a loss for the company. So, ang mangyayari, you debit the reason of the shortage. Debit loss, credit, cash short or over. Okay? Para mawala na siya dun sa cash short or over account, na ilagay mo na properly yung debit based on the reason of the shortage. And the other way around naman for overage. So, cash overages are initially credited naman to the cash short or over account and then i-debit mo sa cash. Kasi i-update mo ngayon si cash balances mo eh, 'di ba? So, debit cash, credit, cash short or over account para ma-update mo si cash records mo na meron kang sobrang cash na hindi mo na-record. But we shall also still, tawag dito, i-report yun kung anong nangyari or i-investigate. These overages are then debited to the CSO account where the amount of the overage is credited to the reason of the overage. Okay? So, i-debit mo na ngayon si cash short or over account para mawala yung initial na pagkakakredit mo sa kanya. Pero ang mangyayari, i-credit mo ngayon yung reason ng overage. Okay? Let's say for example, may times kasi ang cashier nagagamit yung sarili nilang pera. Panukli. Minsan ganun, di ba? Tapos nalalagay dun sa cash register. Okay? So, ang mangyayari, sobra yung pera kesa sa naka-record. So, ang mangyayari is we debit the cash short or over account na una nating kinredit. And then, ang mangyayari is, i-credit na natin yung mismong reason nung cash overage. So, ang lalagay mo na ngayon is, payable to the cashier. Ganon. So, para mabayaran mo yun sa kanya. Okay? Pag nabayaran mo na sa kanya, debit payable, credit cash. De ganon din, tatanggalin mo rin sa cash. Okay? It's just a matter of basic accounting entries, no? Kung paano mo pa iikutin yung entries mo, okay? But the most important thing is hindi dapat maiiwan sa cash short or over account, okay? Dapat ma-investigate yung reason para mailagay natin properly yung kung saan man siya, okay? But in any case that the entity will not really be able to look for the reason, and then so ang mangyayari is cash shortage is a miscellaneous expense and a cash overage is a miscellaneous revenue. Okay? Naka-other expense or other losses na lang siya, or and then miscellaneous revenue or other income na lang siya pagka talagang hindi natin makita yung reason kung bakit merong cash shortage or bakit merong cash overage. Okay, the internal control on cash is what we call the Impress system. The Impress system presents the following two methods. Okay, first one is lahat po ng marireceive natin sa customers or any cash that we receive, altogether po ide-deposit yan. Okay, ide-deposit natin sa bangko. And then, kapag ka naman po cash payment, hindi tayo basta-basta pwedeng maglalabas lang ng cash. Kailangan po ang payments natin ay naka-cheque. Okay? Kasi po, if you will be learning it on some more higher level accounting, like your auditing techniques or your principles of auditing, no? Ang nangyayari po kasi talaga is meron munang approval ng proper documents bago natin masabi na talagang babayaran natin itong expenses na ito. Okay? So, pagka-approve, dun pa lang po gagawin ng finance department yung cheque hanggang i-approve na at i-sign yung cheque, which will be ready for payment. Okay? Kaya po, the payment of a company is made through checks. However, hindi naman po kasi talaga lahat ng expenses kailangan bayaran natin na naka-cheque. No, there are some small expenses that we need to pay for in which check payments are impracticable. Kaya po tayo nagsa-set up ng payments for small amounts of money na fund. At ang tawag po sa fund na yon is petty cash fund. Okay? Petty cash fund can be accounted for either through the impressed fund system or the fluctuating fund system. Okay, so let's try your knowledge before we go to problems. Okay, so we have 9 items here, and maybe you get us a little sheet of paper and number your paper 1 to 9. Let's try lang yung current knowledge from what we have discussed. Okay, so I will be presenting 9 items and you classify them kung siya po ba ay cash or cash equivalent or a current asset na other than cash or cash equivalent, non-current asset or current liability. So you number your paper 1 to 9 pero ibibigay din naman natin agad yung sagot after nating i-present yung 9 items. Okay? Let's start. Let's have number 1. Ano po kaya ang cash available for immediate use? Now, how about 3-month BSP Treasury Bill? How about compensating balances related to short-term borrowings which are legally restricted? For number 4, we have time deposits with maturities more than 3 months but less than 1 year. Let's have number 5, cash set aside for the payment of dividends. We also have cash set aside on December 31 for the purchase of land expected to be executed in the next 2 months. We also have bank overdraft. Ito naman, investment in equity securities. And lastly, bank drafts and money orders. You can pause the video if you need more time to analyze these 9 items, but assuming that you have already completed these 9 items, let's now discuss them one by one. Cash available for immediate use, sabi nga sa inyo, any cash item na unrestricted po is automatically recorded as cash. Wala tayong problema dyan. Okay? A 3-month BSP Treasury Bill. So, pag nabasa nyo naman na yung 3-month, gets nyo na yan di ba? The usage of a 3-month rule is applicable for cash equivalent. Ito namang compensating balances from short-term borrowing na legally restricted. So, dalawa na lang usapan natin dyan. Dahil legally restricted, ang aalamin mo na lang if the related borrowing is short-term or long-term. Since it was given to you that the borrowing is short-term, automatically the compensating balance, although it will not be reported as cash, it will then be reported as a current asset. Specifically, ang tawag sa kanya is cash held for compensating balance. Pero hindi mo siya i-report as long-term or non-current asset kasi yung borrowing na related sa kanya is short-term. Time deposits with maturities more than 3 months but less than 1 year. Yan po ay current asset. Hindi na siya magka-qualify as cash equivalent kasi more than 3 months na. Hindi naman siya pwedeng sabihin na non-current asset kasi less than 1 year naman. So, nasa gitna ka nung 3 months pero less than 1 year. So, current asset siya. How about the cash set aside for payment of dividends? Huwag kayong malilito porque sinabi sa problem set aside restricted na agad siya. Titignan niyo yung purpose, okay? Since it is set aside for payment of dividends, then that is a dividend fund. And a dividend fund is also recorded as part of cash. How about the cash set aside on December 31 for the purchase of land expected to be executed in the next 2 months? Tingnan niyo yung time period muna. In the next 2 months, ay gagamitin din naman na natin yung cash na sinet aside at the end of the reporting period para bumili ng land. Pero, ang lagi niyong titignan is yung purpose kung bakit tayo nag-set aside, not the timing. Okay? Again, always look for the purpose, not the timing kapag ka po mga ganyan ang itsura ng ating problem. Okay? Ano po ang purpose ba tayo nag-set aside ng cash? It is for the purchase of land, and land is a non-current asset. So automatically, the purpose is for an acquisition of a non-current asset. Automatically, even though it will be executed in the next 2 months, the cash that was set aside on December 31 to purchase a land will be reported as a non-current asset because land is a non-current asset. Okay? How about a bank overdraft? Pag sinabing bank overdraft, ito po yung negative balance sa inyong bank account. Okay, generally in the Philippines, it's actually not allowed. Okay, but for accounting purposes, you should know about this. And generally, a bank overdraft is recorded as a current liability. You don't net it or deduct it to your other account balances. But later on in the problem, we will be discussing things about bank overdraft. But the general rule is that you report bank overdrafts as a current liability and do not deduct it directly in your cash. But we have certain actions that we can do, or some exclusions to or exemptions to the rule. Okay, and then we also have investment in equity securities, which is a non-current asset, and that's actually one of our lessons in the future, so abangan nyo yan. And lastly, we have bank drafts and money orders, which is automatically reported as a cash. Okay, so I hope you get 9 points in this small activity. So we are now done with our theoretical discussion. Let's now try to answer some problems. And let's work on problem number 1. The following information was provided to you by West Company. We have cash on hand of 400,000, and then we have 2 accounts na nasa isang bangko na Islands Bank. One is at 500,000 and the other one is at 100,000. And then we have payroll fund, change fund, dividend fund, petty cash fund, and 3-month BSP treasury bill. The question is, how much should be reported as cash in the December 31, 2020 statement of financial position? Guys, when you are given problems like this, it's just a matter of inclusion or exclusion. So, i-judge mo isa-isa kung kasama siya as cash or hindi. Okay? Cash on hand is automatically cash. Now, cash in Islands Bank, wala naman po tayong problema dyan kahit tig-isang account pa yan sa iisang bangko, no? So, wala naman sinabi about restriction, wala tayong problema. That is cash in bank. So, account 1 is included and account 2 is also included. And then yung magkakasunod po na payroll fund, change fund, dividend fund, petty cash fund, automatic na po yan. Those are cash in working fund. Fund, pangbayad ng salaries. Pasok. Fund ng panukli. Change fund. Pasok po yan. Fund na pangbayad ng dividends. Pasok din po yan. And fund na pambayad ng ating small expenses. Pasok din po yan. How about the 3-month BSP treasury bill? That is not included. Look at the question. You are being asked only about cash. Hindi pa po tinatanong kung magkano yung cash equivalent. And remember that the 3-month BSP treasury bill of 200,000 is a cash equivalent. Since the question only asks you about the amount to be reported as cash, hindi po kasama yung 200,000. So add everything po na nakacheck, and the cash to be reported in the statement of financial position is 1,163,000. Pero pag ang tanong na po sa inyo is how much should be reported as cash and cash equivalents, that's the time you add the 200,000. Okay, screenshot nyo na yung solution para maintindihan nyong mabuti. Okay? So, the cash to be reported on December 31, 2020 is 1,163,000. Awesome. Okay, let's have problem number 2. The following information was provided to you by Riddle Company. So we have cash on hand and then 2 account balances in 1 bank. One of which of them is an overdraft. And then we also have cash in Design Bank, which has a positive 400,000 balance. But the cash in Resign Bank is an overdraft of 20,000. And then we also have a change fund, and then set aside for payroll payment, set aside for equipment, set aside for plant expansion, and a treasury bill. How much should be reported as cash and cash equivalents in the December 31, 2020 Statement of Financial Position? Cash on hand, wala po tayo usapan dyan. Kasama yan. Okay, ito pag-uusapan natin. The same bank, Malayon Bank, and then, dalawang account balance, isang positive at isang overdraft. General rule is that ang overdraft po ay talagang current liability. So, kung susundin natin yung general rule, yung 300,000 ire-report mo as is, as part of cash. Yung 40,000 dapat kasama sa current liability. However, there is an exemption to the rule. Kapag ka po yung overdraft ay meron pong pwedeng bangko na kasama niya na isa pang account, or when a company has two account or two or more accounts in the same bank, pwede nyo po silang inet. Again, general rule po, ang bank overdraft ay naka-current liability. But if an entity is holding two or more accounts in the same bank, again, ipagdidiinan ko sa inyo in the same bank, dun nyo lang po siya pwedeng inet. Okay? Since same bank naman po siya, Malayon Bank, so inenet po natin 300,000 minus the overdraft of 40,000, that is 260,000. Yan po ang isasama nyo sa cash balance. How about the one in Design Bank? Wag nyong hindi naman magkatulad na bangko yan, si Design Bank tsaka si Resign Bank. So yung 400,000, part pa rin po ng cash yan. Pero yung Resign Bank, hindi mo po ima-minus sa kahit anong bank balance po yan. Okay? So that will be reported as a current liability. Hindi po siya kasama sa cash amounts natin. Change fund, panukli, kasama yan. How about this one? Cash set aside for payment of payroll to be paid on January 3, 2021. Again, look on the purpose. It's set aside for the payment of payroll. So that's only a payroll fund. That's still part of your cash, even though it's set aside. Now, for the next one, it was set aside for the purchase of an equipment to be paid within 1 year. So look at the purpose. Since the purpose is for a purchase or acquisition of a non-current asset, automatically your 500,000 cash set aside is not included in your cash balance. It's already a non-current asset because it is for an acquisition of a non-current asset. And the same goes here for the cash which is set aside for a plant expansion, because plant expansion is a capital expenditure. So that's a non-current asset, and basically the purpose is non-current, that's also not included. Now, the question now asks you the total cash and cash equivalents. Automatically, your BSP 3-month treasury bill is kasama. Okay? So, add all of the items na chinek po natin. The total amount of cash and cash equivalents at December 31, 2020 Statement of Financial Position is 2,085,000. Screenshot nyo na po yung solution. Awesome. Let's have problem number 3. Scribican Company has cash of 600,000 on hand as at December 31, 2020. The entity also currently holds a 60-day BSP treasury bill worth 2,400,000. Items related to the entity's bank accounts are as follows: Secure-Nami Bank, 1,200,000, Bank of the Nation Account 1, which is 300,000, and an overdraft in the same bank na mayroon kang second account na 50,000. So, alam nyo na siguro yung gagawin dyan kasi same bank naman, di ba? A check for 300,000 pesos for a payment of an account payable was drawn against the Secure-Nami Bank account. The check was dated January 20, 2021, which the entity had it delivered to the payee and had the same recorded at year-end. Other items include 60,000 pesos of postal money order and 150,000 pesos customer post-dated check, both of which are duly recorded by the company as part of cash on hand. How much will be reported as cash and cash equivalents in the statement of financial position as at December 31, 2020? You can pause the video and try answering the problem first, and then let's reveal the answer. Okay, assuming that you have tried answering it and you're ready with your answer, let's discuss the solution for problem number 3. Okay, so in analyzing these kinds of problems, it's better if ilista mo muna lahat ng sa tingin mo kasama naman sa cash, which is like this. Oops, nawala. Ulit. Nawala. Isa pa. Awesome. Okay, so ang cash on hand po natin is 600,000. Gagamitan ko po siya ng laser pointer. Okay, so yung cash na 600,000, o di report mo as cash on hand. Pasok naman yan, di ba? Mag-general criteria muna tayo na nakikita nyo sa problem. Wag muna kayo mag-isip ng adjustments para hindi kayo malito. Ito namang 60-day BSP Treasury Bill na 2,400,000. Since ang tanong naman sa inyo ay cash and cash equivalent, so di isama na natin, wala namang problema. Meron ka rin daw pong 1,200,000 na account balance sa Secure na Mi Bank. So, that's a cash in bank and we have no problem with that naman. Hindi rin naman po sinabi kung restricted or unrestricted on anything, then we can add it, 1,200,000. Bank of the Nation 1 is 300,000. Bank of the Nation 2, same bank, magkaibang account, overdraft. Negative. So, pwede po nating ineto kasi although magkaibang account, pero same bank lang naman po. So, pwede po nating inet. So, kung titignan po nating mabuti, ang cash natin sa Bank of the Nation account is 250,000. Ngayon, ito na yung pag-uusapan natin, yung mga adjustments na nandito sa baba. Okay, una is a check for 300,000 for a payment of an account payable was drawn against the Secure na Mi Bank. The check was dated January 20, 2021. Dineliver na daw ng company dun sa pagbabayaran nila at nirecord na daw nila na tinanggal na nila sa cash balance. Sounds family, di ba? Sounds familiar. Okay. Ano po bang pinag-uusapan natin? December 31, 2020, pero yung cheque na nirelease ng company ay nakadate na po for next year na payment. Sounds family uli, di ba? That is what you call a post-dated check. Ano pong gagawin natin dito sa 300,000? Tinanggal na pala yan dun sa Secure na Mi Bank. Okay? So, syempre, mamaya i-add natin yan. Add natin yan kasi as far as December 31, 2020 is concerned, sa'yo pa po yung 300,000 na yan. Okay? Because the payment will take effect next year pa. Okay? How about the 60,000 PMO or postal money order tsaka 150,000 customer post-dated check? Okay? What shall we do here? Ang sabi po dyan is both of which are recorded already as part of cash. So, kung recorded as part of cash at dun talaga siya kasama, wala na tayong adjustment na kailangan. Pero, kapag ka po, hindi siya kasama, kailangan mong tanggalin. Yung 60,000 na postal money order is rightfully kasama po talaga yan sa cash. Wala tayong problema dyan. Paano naman tong 150,000 customer post-dated check? Nilagay na daw po agad sa cash. Yan po yung sinasabi ko kanina na kapag kayong company naman yung naka-receive ng post-dated check, hindi pa talaga sa kanila yon kasi dun pa yon sa company na nagbayad sa kanila. Kaya parang kabaliktaran lang, okay? So, yung 150,000 na naka-record sa cash on hand, tatanggalin po natin yan. So, ang lalagyan natin ngayon ng adjustments. So, yung 150,000 na customer post-dated check, tatanggalin po natin sa cash on hand kasi hindi po siya properly kasama doon. Yung postal money order, no problem na po dyan kasi it's rightfully included. Okay? Pero po yung post-dated check natin na 300,000 ay ibabalik po natin sa Secure na Mi Bank account. Okay? So, let's get the adjusted balances. Cash on hand becomes 450,000. The treasury bill has no adjustments. Secure na Mi Bank account, binalik po natin yung 300,000. And then, yung ating pong Bank of the Nation balances is 250,000. Nakaneto na po kasi nga po, even though may overdraft, same bank lang naman po. So, get the total. The total total cash and cash equivalents at December 31, 2020 is 4,600,000. Okay, you can pause the video and take a screenshot. Awesome. Okay, so our next lesson will be about bank reconciliation statement and proof of cash, or the 4-column bank reconciliation statement. Thank you for listening to our discussion number 1. This is again part 1 of our discussion on cash and cash equivalents. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH and hit the notification bell button to alert you of the latest video lessons. For all of your questions, comments, and suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below, and for webinar and speakership invites, please send me a message at kevintroy.chua1994@gmail.com. This has been Sir Chua's Accounting Lessons PH College Edition. To God be all the glory, honor, and praise. Thank you and have a great day.
너와의 여행을 생각했었는데 네가 좋아하던 와인과 선물을 준비했겠지. 기뻐할 너를 상상하며 근데 왜 이런 생각